So we're now going to do a bunch of factoring. 4x squared minus 10x, you take out whatever they have in common, and I think I can get a 2 and an x out of every term. It leaves me with 2x times 2x minus 5, and I'm done with A. In this equation, I know I'm going to have an x and an x. My options for 4 are 2 and 2 or 4 and 1. They must add up to negative 5. So how about minus 4 minus 1, and we're done with B. In this problem, I want to factor things out of this polynomial before I try to factor it like I did in part B. And it looks like I can get a 4 and an x out of every term. So I start by pulling out what I can. So that leaves me 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. This is now going to be a much easier thing to factor. So I have 4x. With 3x squared, I know I have to have a 3x and an x multiplied to get 3x squared. This negative 2, my only options are 2 and 1. So if I put a 2 here and a 1 here, you'll see that this 3 times 2 would end up getting me 6x. 1 times x would get me 1x. I need plus 5x. So what about if I put a plus sign there and a minus sign there, and I think I'm all done. In this problem, I'm going to do this by grouping. So I'm going to group the first two terms together and the second two terms together and see what happens. The first two terms I can pull out an m cubed. I'm left with m plus 3. The second two terms I can pull out a 4m and I'm left with a m plus 3. Excellent. So then this becomes m cubed plus 4m times m plus 3. That would probably be sufficient. I could, if I wanted, pull an m out of that first two terms and end up with this. And this is here, the sum of two squares, so you can't do anything with that. So we are done at this point. So like the previous one, I'm going to factor this by grouping. I'm going to group the first two terms and the second two terms together. The first two terms in common, I can get out a 4x squared. I'm left with 2 plus 3, 2x, sorry. 2x plus 3. In the second one, if I factor out a negative 1, I'm left with 2x plus 3. So I get 4x squared minus 1 in parentheses times 2x plus 3. But I'm not quite done because this 4x squared minus 1 is the difference of two squares. And I can factor that into 2x minus 1 times 2x plus 1 times 2x plus 3, and that would be the final answer. In F, again, I think we see the difference of two squares. If you look at this, it could be 2x squared minus 6 squared, and the difference of two squares is just the first term minus the first times the first term plus the second term, and that would be the end. For 2x squared minus 2, I could factor a 2 out, and I get x squared minus 1. It looks like I'm done, but x squared minus 1 is again the difference of two squares. So x minus 1, x plus 1, and we're done. So I'm being asked to multiply here, so I'm going to distribute the 3x to both terms, and you end up with 3x times 4x squared would be 12x cubed minus 15x, and that would be the answer. All right, here we need to FOIL. So first, 2x times x gets me 2x squared, then 2x times 4, so plus 8x, negative 5 times x, minus 5x, minus 5 times 4, minus 20. Combine like terms, 2x squared plus 3x minus 20 is your final answer. In this case, I'm not going to FOIL exactly like we did before. I just want to make sure I take each term multiplied by each term. So x times x squared will get me x cubed, x times negative 4x, minus 4x squared, x times 3, plus 3x. Now, negative 2 times x squared, minus 2x squared, minus 2, so plus 8x, and minus 6. Combine like terms, x cubed. I have negative 4x squared and negative 2x squared, so minus 6x squared. I have 3x and 8x, plus 11x minus 6. And that's the answer. In this example, please do not square 2x and then square 6 and say that's the answer. This means 2x minus 6 times 2x minus 6. Then we FOIL it to get 4x squared minus 12x minus another 12x plus 36. Combine like terms, 4x squared minus 24x plus 36. In this example, please note the plus sign between the two parentheses. This means you add these two. Don't FOIL these out. So you just combine like terms. All right, so 5x squared and an x squared gets me 6x squared minus 10x minus 13x is minus 23x. 7 and a negative 9 minus 2. That's it. Don't multiply if you don't have to. In this equation, you notice there's a minus sign between the two. So I must make sure I change the sign in front of each of the terms in the second parentheses. So I could look at it if I want. I wouldn't need to write this out, but I will just to show. So negative x squared, 3x becomes plus because two negatives. 19 becomes plus. Now I combine like terms. I get 7x squared plus 3x plus 14. And we're done with chapter 8.